Mason West is not just a top hockey prospect. He's not just a state championship quarterback. He's something the modern sports world almost never produces anymore. A true, elite, two-sport athlete, excelling simultaneously in two demanding, collision-heavy sports that most players wouldn't dare to balance at the same time. In an era dominated by early specialization, private trainers, and year-round single-sport focus, West has chosen a completely different path. And somehow, against every modern development rule, it has made him one of the most fascinating young athletes hockey has ever seen. In today's sports landscape, athletes are told to pick a lane early, choose one sport, commit fully, specialize. The message is clear: divide your focus and you fall behind. But Mason West never listened. At 6'6", built like a modern NHL power forward, throwing touchdowns on Friday nights and scoring goals on Saturday afternoons, West became a living contradiction to everything conventional wisdom says should work. And yet, here he stands, an NHL first-round pick who just led his high school football team to a state championship as a starting quarterback. Hockey has seen incredible athletes before. It has seen size, speed, and skill, but it has never quite seen this. Mason West was born on August 3, 2007 in Edina, Minnesota, a place where hockey isn't just a pastime, it's a part of the identity. In Minnesota, rinks are community hubs. Winter nights are spent chasing pucks, and competition begins almost as soon as kids can stand on skates. From an early age, West looked comfortable in that environment. He wasn't just bigger than his peers, he was smoother, calmer, and more coordinated. Coaches noticed how easily he possessed the game, how rarely he panicked with the puck, and how naturally he gravitated toward leadership roles. But hockey was never his only passion. While many young players in Minnesota are pushed toward year-round hockey by the time they reach elementary school, West split his time between the rink and the football field. In the fall, he learned how to command an offense, read defenses, and handle pressure as a quarterback. In the winter, he sharpened his skating, puck skills, and physical play. Rather than hurting his development, the balance strengthened it. Football gave him toughness, confidence, and spatial awareness. Hockey refined his footwork, hand-eye coordination, and creativity. Each sport reinforced the other in subtle but powerful ways. As West entered his teenage years, it became clear that his ceiling was unusually high in both sports. In hockey, he moved through elite Minnesota programs, consistently producing against top-level competition. His game began to take shape as a modern power forward. Long strides, strong puck protection, and a heavy, accurate shot paired with soft hands in tight areas. He wasn't a player who relied purely on physical advantages. He understood spacing, timing, and when to impose himself physically versus when to let skill do the work. At Edina High School, his reputation grew rapidly. On the ice, he became one of the most dominant high school players in the state. During the 2024-25 season, West recorded 27 goals and 22 assists for 49 points in 31 games. Eye-catching numbers in Minnesota's brutally competitive high school hockey system. But scouts weren't only focused on the stat line. They watched how he created offense without forcing plays, how he protected the puck along the boards, and how he seemed to elevate his game in critical moments. He didn't look rushed. He looked composed, confident, and in control. That dominance earned West an opportunity with the Fargo Force of the USHL, a league known for exposing young players to the speed, strength, and structure of the next level. Facing older and more physically mature opponents, West didn't fade. In 10 games, he recorded a goal and 8 assists, showing that his game translated beyond high school. His decision-making improved, his physical play adjusted, and his confidence continued to grow. For NHL scouts, it was a crucial checkpoint, confirmation that his tools weren't just overwhelming younger competition, but adaptable to higher levels of play. While his hockey profile was rising rapidly, West's football career was unfolding just as impressively. As the quarterback for the Adina Hornets, he wasn't a novelty athlete splitting time between sports. He was the focal point of the offense. Over his high school career, West threw more than 7,500 passing yards and 91 touchdowns, numbers that placed him among the most productive quarterbacks in Minnesota high school football. His size allowed him to see the field clearly. His arm strength stretched defenses vertically, and his presence in the huddle gave teammates confidence. What separated West from many talented high school quarterbacks was his composure. He rarely looked rattled, even in high-pressure situations. He understood when to take risks and when to manage the game. That calmness mirrored what scouts saw on the ice, the same steady decision-making, the same awareness of spacing and timing. It became increasingly clear that West wasn't just physically gifted, he was mentally wired for high-level competition. As the 2025 NHL draft approached, Mason West became one of the most intriguing and debated prospects in the class. The conversation wasn't about whether he had NHL talent, that much was obvious. The question was about commitment and timeline. In a sport where teams invest years into player development, West represented uncertainty. He was still playing football, he was still excelling at it, and he hadn't publicly closed the door on that part of his athletic identity. For some teams, that uncertainty was enough to hesitate. For others, it was part of the appeal. The upside was undeniable. A 6'6" forward with elite athleticism, coordination, and leadership traits that can't be taught. On June 27, 2025, the Chicago Blackhawks decided potential was worth the risk, selecting Mason West 29th overall in the first round of the NHL draft. It was a statement, a belief that elite athletic foundations matter and that rare players deserve rare patience. Before draft night, West had already committed to Michigan State University, choosing to continue his hockey development in the Big Ten Conference. Known for its physicality and structured systems, the Big Ten offered a perfect environment for a player like West, a place to grow stronger, faster, and more refined against elite competition. Michigan State viewed him as a long-term cornerstone, someone who could develop into a dominant two-way forward with time and proper development. At that point, many assumed football would quietly fade into the background, but Mason West wasn't finished yet. Instead of stepping away from football after hearing his name called at the NHL draft, West made a decision that surprised many and inspired even more. He returned for his senior football season. It wasn't about draft stock or publicity. It was about loyalty, about finishing what he started with teammates he had grown up with, about chasing a championship that still felt unfinished. Every snap of the 2025 season carried risk. An injury could have changed everything, but West played without hesitation, bringing the same intensity and focus that defined his entire athletic career. Week after week, he delivered when it mattered most, converting third downs, extending plays, and guiding Adina through a deep playoff run. His leadership became the defining trait of the team. When pressure mounted, teammates looked to him. On November 22, 2025, Mason West delivered the perfect ending. Under the lights, with a state championship on the line, he led the Adina Hornets to victory, throwing multiple touchdown passes and controlling the game from start to finish. It was more than a title. It was proof that his belief in himself, his teammates, and his unconventional path was justified. Now, the next chapter begins. West is expected to transition fully into hockey, continuing his development in the USHL before arriving at Michigan State. From there, the long-term vision leads toward the NHL and the Chicago Blackhawks, who see in him a rare blend of size, skill, and competitiveness. Football becomes part of the foundation rather than the destination, a source of leadership, resilience, and mental toughness that will carry over onto the ice. Mason West's story isn't just about talent, it's about courage. The courage to ignore convention, to trust instinct, and to pursue excellence on his own terms. Hockey has seen stars, it has seen elite athletes, but it has never quite seen a journey like this. So, does this freak of an athlete turn into an NHL superstar? Or is his unique and inspiring story just smoke and mirrors? Let us know in the comments.